Welcome to today's Software AG webcast titled Lean Six Sigma Thinking with ARIS. Today's webcast will be presented by Martin Meller, Senior Business Architect at Software AG. Before I turn today's presentation over to Martin, I would like to briefly introduce you to Software AG. Software AG helps companies with their digital transformation. With Software AG's digital business platform, companies can better interact with their customers and bring them on new digital journeys, promote unique value propositions, and create new business opportunities. In the Internet of Things market, Software AG enables enterprises to integrate, connect, and manage IoT components, as well as analyze data and predict future events based on artificial intelligence. The digital business platform is built on decades of uncompromising software development, IT experience, and technological leadership. Software AG has more than 4,500 employees, is active in 70 countries, and had revenues of €872 million in 2016. It's now my pleasure to welcome Martin Meller.
Welcome everyone to this session on Lean Six Sigma Thinking with ARIS. Before going into the presentation and the following demonstration, I would like to set the scene. This is not a session that will go into Lean and Six Sigma in depth, but is focused more on where ARIS can support transformation and continuous improvement through Lean and Six Sigma approaches. Essentially, this session is about methods and techniques that support transformation and improvement. So it includes Lean and Six Sigma methods and techniques, but also a range of others that go beyond Lean and Six Sigma. I firmly believe that ARIS has underutilized capabilities that can support transformation and improvement initiatives. So I have pulled together a knowledge base in ARIS that captures many of the methods and techniques that I have come across and used, together with descriptions, examples, and links to information assets and useful websites. What you will see in the presentation and demonstration is an overview of Lean and Six Sigma approaches, how they are different from but complement each other, an overview of the ARIS capabilities that support Lean and Six Sigma, assets that explain a range of methods and techniques, what ARIS models you could use that are relevant, together with a value proposition and some takeaways. I should further add that this is a work in progress as methods and techniques are added or changed. My challenge to anyone involved in transformation and improvement initiatives is how can you use ARIS for bringing Lean, Six Sigma, and dare I say it, quality management practitioners together to help transform your companies. So, having set the scenario, I would first like to move into the presentation to look at Lean and Six Sigma and how they support transformation and continuous improvement. Very briefly, we will look at Lean thinking, then Six Sigma, and show how they come together as Lean Six Sigma. The demonstration will show the ARIS knowledge base, together with the method and technique assets that I have created, reports, etc. This will then be followed by a value proposition and some takeaways. The objective of this is to encourage companies using ARIS to bring their Lean and Six Sigma practitioners into the fold. So we're going to take a look at Lean thinking. Lean thinking is about creating value for customers with fewer resources. It is about how your processes continuously increase value. Essentially, it is about how can you provide perfect value through a perfect value creation process. Lean is about taking an axe to waste. Imagine that you are looking into your back garden and it is a complete mess. It is overgrown and bushes have sprouted up where you don't want them. So what do you have to do to be able to visualize what your garden might look like? Well, you take an axe to clear the undergrowth. You take out all the waste. The whole idea is that you use Lean as the first or second step in identifying and eliminating waste. There are many companies I have come across that start with Six Sigma, but as we shall see later on, Six Sigma is not really the starting point. What we are looking at with Lean is how can you overcome process problems. Things such as process flow, how long does it take to operate the process, what are the delays in the process. What about quality issues? Processes are not perfect, and ultimately what we are looking at is time, cost, and quality. This is where Lean can have a significant impact on addressing these, and it should be used where you need to do something quickly. I think of this as a miles wide and inches deep approach. Waste is anything that the customer is not willing to pay for, and any activity that does not change or add value to the fit, form, or function of a product or service. In Lean, we talk about the 8 wastes of manufacturing. Here are the categories that are used. Don't forget that many companies are in the service sector, and so there are different types of waste in the service sectors. It is interesting that if you research the internet, you will find there aren't common descriptions of what service waste are shown here. And so here are 2 examples. So what are the Lean challenges? There are a number of these. First is associated with leadership. Getting leadership commitment and support is incredibly difficult. This is true of most transformation projects. It is about creating a sense of urgency, a do-it-now view. There is also a lack of understanding of what Lean can do. Winning over the business is important. The business wants quick fixes, but there is often a lack of awareness amongst employees and management. The third challenge is implementation. With the lack of a Lean sensei, the person who will teach the organization about the best ways to implement Lean practices, you will have problems. It's about the availability of Lean practitioners. In my experience, Lean practitioners also vary in what they think is important in a Lean project. The other thing that is often missed is the need for a good plan. What is it you are trying to achieve? What are the timescales? What are the deliverables? Even more critical is the need for insiders and outsiders. That is, the people who supply something into a process, outsiders such as suppliers, who does the processing, insiders, and who receives the outputs from the processes, insiders and outsiders. Outsiders are typically suppliers and customers. So let's take a look at some Lean essentials. Take an axe to waste first. Educate the business about the benefits of Lean and equip your Lean practitioners with the support and resources they need to do their jobs. So we've shown a high-level view of Lean. Let us take a high-level look at Six Sigma. Six Sigma is different in that it uses statistical techniques to understand, measure, and reduce variation. It's also about reducing defects and the cost of poor quality, the cost of reworking or repairing something, or doing it again because you got it wrong the first time. We take a scalpel to variation because Six Sigma alone cannot optimize process flows and reduce waste. We use Lean to cut out the waste, and having done that, you can then look at the variation that still persists. This is an inch wide and miles deep approach. Let me ask you a question. Is this Six Sigma? This is 99.999%. This is a poster that was displayed at a sales kickoff meeting a couple of years ago. I'm sure that the practitioners out there will agree that yes, it is. The table gives you the different Sigma levels that are commonly talked about. It is interesting that organizations are now starting to talk about 7 Sigma. Six Sigma is just a target. What matters is what Sigma is good enough. You may have a Six Sigma program, but 5 Sigma may be enough. It is important to remember that customers only remember the failures. In my experience, many customers are only at 2 or 3 Sigma, so have a considerable way to go. Implementing a Six Sigma program would be very powerful for them. There are 2 flavors of Six Sigma. DMAIC, and DMADV, each of which has 5 steps. We can see here the DMAIC model. There are the 5 steps. It's typically used by organizations with improvement as their main focus. DMADV is typically used by organizations that are interested in looking at the design of their products and services. It's sometimes called Design for Six Sigma. Interestingly, most organizations choose DMAIC. So what are the Six Sigma essentials? First of all, take a scalpel to remove variation, but do it after lean has been used. Use DMAIC for improvement and DMADV for design. And don't forget that you need your knowledge base of methods and techniques. So what is Lean Six Sigma? Lean Six Sigma is a methodology that brings together Lean and Six Sigma. It is the axe plus the scalpel. Let me give you an example of a Lean Six Sigma project that I worked on. This was a manufacturing company, and at the end of the production line was a series of racks that was full of faulty units. It was called the Great Wall of China. We implemented a Lean Six Sigma project, the lean part being to clean out the waste first. We retested everything and found around 10% passed after testing. We then went further and implemented a zero defects policy. So removed the racks and said that manufacturing process was not allowed to create defective units. We then initiated the Six Sigma project, looked at every failure, analyzed the failures, then looked at the end-to-end manufacturing process and identified all the failure points and fail-safe the process where needed. So how can ARIS support Lean and Six Sigma initiatives? I have gone into a number of companies using ARIS, but their Lean and Six Sigma practitioners are not using ARIS. So let us look at how ARIS could be used in a Lean Six Sigma DMAIC project. The define phase is where the transformation is planned and scoped, and feasibility establishes what the goals and deliverables are. It is useful to set up a Lean Six Sigma Center of Excellence, in the same way that a business process center of excellence is set up. In the top box, you can see some of the things that need to be put in place. It is not exhaustive, but you get the idea. In the bottom box, a number of ARIS models have been identified, such as the value stream map, SIPOC, and SWOT diagrams. Creation of these models would be by using Architect Designer or Connect Designer. In the measure phase, we are interested in understanding the as-is processes and the measurement and collection of data. So we are looking at value stream maps, SIPOC, value-added chain diagrams, EPCs, BPMN, and KPI allocation diagrams. The quick model has also proved useful in this phase. Organizations should also consider using the ARIS Process Performance Manager, PPM, for real-time measurement and identification of process variation. In the analyze phase, we are getting to the core of Six Sigma. Data captured during the measurement phase is analyzed. The CTX tree, spreadsheets, quick model, fishbone diagram, cause and effect diagram, and a host of other methods and techniques can be utilized. In addition, ARIS simulation can be used to perform what-ifs. ARIS queries and reports are also available to perform impact analyses on the information collected in the ARIS repository. Having completed the analysis phase, we move into the improve phase. You model your to-be process using value-added chains, EPCs, and BPMN models. Simulation can again be used to look at what-ifs. Simulation often gets you to think about improvements because someone asks a simple question about the to-be. You could also be looking at using systems thinking in performing improvement activities. Piloting solutions helps answer the question, have we reduced variation, reduced defects, and reduced costs? It is also in this phase that training of effective people will take place. ARIS Process Governance, APG, provides a means of managing the changes and the release of the new process. Finally, we are talking about control. The use of ARIS Aware provides management with the ability to visualize progress and keep an eye on the key measures, KPIs, and provide the confidence to know that the improvements have been made and are effective. ARIS Process Performance Manager, PPM, provides real-time data of key processes. This can be used to compare against the original as-is data, enabling business value analysis to be calculated. Putting in place control plans is also an important part of control. This now takes me to my demonstration. This is my Lean Six Sigma homepage. What I will show you is what I have done in terms of creating a Lean Six Sigma knowledge base. I hope this will trigger some questions about how you might use ARIS in your own organizations to support your transformation and improvement initiatives. This is where I describe the Lean and Six Sigma roles. You could attach job descriptions to the roles and use these for recruitment of your practitioners. I have created a catalogue of methods and techniques that cover Lean and Six Sigma assets and many other assets that support transformation and improvement. ARIS has a number of models that can be used to support Lean and Six Sigma, so I have created a structuring model that can be used to launch example models. I have also used this database to model some simple Lean Six Sigma processes. This is where I get access to standard reusable templates. Creating these enables me to hit the ground running. ARIS also has a number of standard reports and macros, for which you need the ARIS strategy extension pack. So let's take a look at the Lean Six Sigma roles. We can take a look at the information about each role. So by selecting, for example, Lean Sensei, you can see the description of what a Lean Sensei is all about. And what I have done is I have split this into the Lean roles and the Six Sigma roles. Let us take the Six Sigma Master Black Belt, and you can see the information for the Six Sigma Master Black Belt here in the properties on the right-hand side. You will also notice that there are a number of other belts, black belt, brown belt, etc. So each of these has a description of what the role is about. Let's now take a look at methods and techniques. This is a catalogue from which you can select around up to 150 or more methods and techniques. For each technique, I have identified an information asset or a web link that will give you additional information about it. So if I select 5S, you can see that I've got some information about this. And I can select these. If I go back, you can see that down here I have a link to the 5S's asset. I can launch that, I can open it, or I can save it to my desktop. And so here is a description of 5S's. Gives you information about how it helps, things to do overall, what you're trying to achieve by doing this through each of the 5S's. And here's an example of a before and after 5S in action. And if I go down through the model, you can see that there are a considerable number of different methods and techniques. They're all arranged alphabetically. So now let's take a look at, the Lean and Six Sigma model types that are available in ARIS. So what I have done here is I have taken the 5 steps in DMAIC and created a model that shows which assets can be used. So which models in ARIS are available in each of the 5 phases. So in the define phase, we might start with a value stream map. And so here is an example, and you could easily create a template from this, which can be reused in other projects. If we go back to measure, then we might want to use a SIPOC. So here's an example of a SIPOC for a service provisioning process. The great thing is that once you have this, the objects are reusable within your database. If we take a look at the analyze phase, then we can see that there are a number of models which can be extremely useful. So for example, I could take a quick model and open up a template in this case, which is for an A3 report. As we move into the improve phase, we are getting more into using standard ARIS models such as value-added chains, EPCs, BPMN diagrams. So I don't think I need to show any of those, as you should have the idea by now. As we move into control, then the KPI allocation diagram becomes interesting. So by opening up that, and I'll open up a process called Accelerate Order Processing. Here's an example of a KPI allocation diagram. So let me return to the home page. And I can now select from my models. And I'm going to select the Lean Six Sigma processes symbol. And I'm going to select the brainstorming process. There will be many processes that are relevant for practitioners that could be captured in ARIS. You can then link different assets, checklists, templates, etc. with the DMAIC process. And this is just normal ARIS practice. If I return to the home page and then select the Lean and Six Sigma objects library, then I get access to a number of reports and macros. So, for example, if I select failure modes and effects analysis report, you can see on the right-hand side the properties of this report and a note that says use this for a SIPOC. So you would run this against a SIPOC. And if I go back to my home page, and select the Models and Objects library, I can select my templates. So for example, here's a template that I created for a value stream map. So what I'm now going to do is conclude the demonstration and return back to the presentation. So the following the following slides that you see now will just give you additional information and a reminder of what I took you through in the demonstration. So this is the home page. Here are the Lean Six Sigma roles, a view of the catalogue of methods and techniques. Here also is a matrix that I've also put together. I didn't show you at the time, but this also relates each of the methods and techniques to either an ARIS model or to a relevant part of DMAIC or DMADV. This is again the page that allows you to launch different models according to the DMAIC process. And here are some examples. I showed you the brainstorming process. There's also another process which is from someone called Shainin, which is also about variation. But you might also want to think about things like design thinking and lean safe. So here are some examples of different templates, which then brings us to the value proposition. So let us start with initiatives. These are often about reducing cycle times, reducing defects, improving quality, and reducing costs. If we take a look at the current as-is state, we find end-to-end processes are too long, have too many defects, are poorly defined, and there is huge variation in times, costs, and quality across the process. There are obstacles that need to be overcome. There is often a lack of strategy from senior management, a lack of Lean and Six Sigma skills, and a lack of measurement linked to corporate goals. Measurement of as-is processes is typically poor in many organizations. Our goal in getting to the to-be are reduced process times, reductions in costs and quality variations, leading to increased customer satisfaction. Real-time collection of process KPIs helps the organization respond quickly to changes in expected outcomes. In order to get to the to-be, the organization needs to enable success by using Lean and Six Sigma practitioners, by designing robust processes with measurement of KPIs and having a culture of customer centricity. Lastly, we look at the benefits. You are going to have an understanding of the business value gained from your transformation and improvement initiatives. Your workforce is more motivated because they understand their processes and what is being measured. Once processes have been captured and redesigned, the organization becomes more agile in reacting to market and technology trends. Overall, management will have greater visibility of the state of the organization. So what are some of the takeaways? As I hope I have demonstrated, ARIS can support Lean and Six Sigma initiatives. Creating your own knowledge base in ARIS helps you set up your transformation center of excellence and capture your methods and techniques assets. Modeling your transformation processes enables you to deploy change across the organization, linking this in with your release management practices. You can capture the transformation deliverables from one project and reuse them across another project. In conclusion, the ARIS repository becomes your knowledge base. So that brings me to the end of my presentation and demonstration.